Street Fighter Alpha 3. Here comes a new challenger. That's enough! Unbeatable!
This is the Lukefitz Street Fighter Alpha 3 podcast with your hosts, Fightcade and Lukefitz.
It's showtime!
Hello and welcome to episode 18 of the Lukefitz podcast. I want to start this episode by reading out some statistics for your benefit. 5 years, 9 months, 22 days, 1.2 million users, 22.7 million games played. As you can probably guess, these are some statistics from a program that I'm sure we're all familiar with, which is Fightcade. So today we have the privilege of talking to two of the developers of Fightcade 1, which those numbers refer to, and the new and improved Fightcade 2, and there is so much to talk about. So without further ado, it's a pleasure to welcome Pof and Shine to the show. So over to you, Quest, to kick things off.
Thanks, Luke. For the listeners that are casual players or have just come across this podcast and don't normally play fighting games, Fightcade is a retro online emulator where two people can play against each other in games from the King of Fighters series, Street Fighter series, and others. Welcome to the podcast, Pof and Shine. Do you guys have anything to add to that?
Hello, and thanks for welcoming us in, for having us in your podcast. So you have described pretty well what Fightcade is and Fightcade does. So no additions from my side. Shine, do you want to add anything?
No, thank you for having us. It's a pleasure. We usually don't do much media, so I hope it will be all right.
Yeah, I think it'll be good. Let's start with Fightcade 1. What motivated you to create it?
So the main motivation was playing online with my friends, which was the whole point of it. But the thing that made me create it was that GGPO, which was the program that was existing at the time that I was using to play, sometimes was down. And I think he had the server somewhere, and so I'm referring to the author of GGPO. It's Tony Cannon.
Cannon, yeah, yep.
Yeah, one of the Cannon brothers. So one time GGPO was down like for a week, and I was like, oh, I cannot play for a whole week, so I must do something.
It's quicker to write your own server than to wait for GGPO to come back online.
Yeah, so that was it. I already had done a client because I'm a Linux and Mac user, and GGPO was only for Windows. So I reverse engineered the Windows program and created an alternative one that worked in Linux and Mac. So I already had the client side done. So writing the server was easy because I only had to answer to my own like the packets coming from the client. So I had to do like the other side. So very quick, I did like a quick prototype in Python, and it worked. So I talked to a few of my friends who we usually played online. So they joined the server, and they were like, wow, this is amazing that you have done this. And then a lot of people started to pass like, hey, you can join this IP address, because it didn't even have a name or anything. So it was just sharing the IP address that you can put instead of the GGPO one, and connect there, and
So at this point, was there chat? Was there like chat and challenging and that kind of thing at this point, or was it just purely like?
No, it was a chat and challenge. Yeah, that was it.
Okay,
cool. Was there any other names you were considering making, like or calling it instead of Fightcade?
Yes. So first we called it GGPO NG, like next generation. But I asked Tony Cannon if he was okay with me doing that, like replacing his service with another one, which was reverse engineered from his one. And,
Yeah, same thing.
and he told me that he was like very tired of running GGPO. He had been running it for a lot of time, and he was also tired of DOS attacks and dealing with the server maintenance and everything. So he was happy that I was replacing that, but he didn't like that my name was containing GGPO. So he asked me if I could change that. So I was like, yeah, okay. I don't yet have a name, so it's okay. And I asked in a group of friends who had been beta testing the Fightcade initial version of Fightcade, and someone came up with that name, Fightcade, and the domain was not taken, so registered that. And
what were the biggest challenges in making it?
So the biggest challenge has been not like making it in the beginning, but as I said, it was like a very, very quick hack to be able to play online, and I never thought that it would grow that big. So it didn't escalate like well to have many people connected. So it has a lot of problems, of scalability problems. Like the initial version only supported like 1,000 people connected. And it was a technical limitation that I didn't know about at the time because of the underlying libraries that I was using. And the first time that the server reached that number, everything started to go bad and lose packets, and everything was broken. So, and I didn't know what the hell was happening.
Yeah, that's a nightmare. So you were was it the server down? Like did you have downtime, or what happened?
No, it wasn't down, but some people could connect, other people couldn't, because the maximum limit of connection was reached. So people could not connect to the service. So when someone left, another one could connect, but then someone could connect a challenge, others were not able to, and everything was so random, and I didn't know what was happening. So until I realized that this was the problem, and then I had to like quickly fix it, because you had like 1,000 people connected trying to play, and you need to you cannot tell them, oh, wait 2 weeks, I need to rewrite this from scratch, because it's not escalating.
So how were you rolling out updates back then on the server side? Like, did you go down for 5 minutes and restart and everyone got kicked off, or how does that actually work?
That was it. Like everyone was, when the server was restarted, everyone was kicked, and then the server went up again. The same before, and now we try to do it like when there is less people connected, which is usually in the mornings GMT time. But sometimes you cannot choose. Sometimes if there is a problem and you have to restart, it doesn't matter what time is it.
So do you have some kind of like dedicated server where you're running this, or it's like running on a VM somewhere? Or I'm just interested in the technical aspects of how you actually achieve, such good uptime.
So now, it's a dedicated server. It's a huge one.
That's awesome. I never knew that.
Yeah, now we have three machines, 3 physical machines. Both all the 3 of them are dedicated, but 2 of them are old, and we are trying to like deprecate them. So the whole service will be running in just one server.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So the Fightcade 1 is still around through legacy rooms. How long will you keep them open for?
Probably right now it's the whole, I think it's like 200 games that Fightcade 1 have. so right now we have them all, but we are thinking of removing them, like most of them, and leave only the 4, 5, 6 top games that are still being played there. Because some people who join the platform and don't know about there is the old version and the new one, and they search for a game, like let's say you search for Super Turbo and you find 2 versions of it. You don't know which one to join. Usually there is a lot more people on the new one than on the old one, but some people get confused with that. So the games that don't have many people in the Fightcade 1 version, I think we will remove them to only have one version of the game.
Yeah.
Okay. And Shine, when did you start getting involved with Fightcade? Was it right at the beginning, or was it later on?
Well, no, it was later on. I found about Fightcade because I wanted to play online. I finally wanted to learn some Third Strike, so I found about it. And I started playing, and I thought, oh, it's great with robots and so. And then I started playing, and it turns to be that I'm from Barcelona also, but I was living in London. So I went to a Barcelona retro gaming event, and I met Pof and Yogaboy there. And I was like excited to know that they were doing the Fightcade. And they also introduced me to Super Turbo. So I started playing a lot, and I was enjoying. But because I'm like a game developer and UI developer, I was finding the old overlay a bit irritating because it was on the top left, and also the spectators. It also had one spectator all the time, and it was kind of ugly and distracting to me. And I was investigating being a programmer, and then I found that there was some source code, but nobody could compile that. So I said, okay, I will just do that, compile that, just to change the layout, the UI. Then I started doing that. It was pretty fast to recompile, but then lots of problems started to come. It was a difficult topic for me. I never did anything about emulators or netcode. And then eventually I thought I cracked down and did a good version. It was better than it looked to be better than Fightcade 1. The frame rate was more stable. And then I thought, okay, if we are going to update the emulator, perhaps we can update the backend. And I thought, just for learning purposes, I'm going to try and do a WebSocket server, like a brand new server. And I asked.
Okay, so Fightcade 2 is running on a new backend as well as just the UI. Those two things go together.
Yeah, actually, the biggest work is being done on the backend, and totally thought on scalability, and it's been really difficult. Basically, the main thing is to be able to escalate, because there were going to be lots of players. We wanted a new interface also, which would be easier to maintain and add features. Things started like a snowball, like, okay, ideas, and then I thought, well, maybe I can now add ranked play and do some detectors for the games. And there was lots of work. But at the time, this was the first Fightcade 2 beta, which it was like a hype moment because nobody had been able to update the GGPO emulator. I thought some people tried, so it was like kind of hype. But it had a flaw in the netcode that on low pings it was very good, but on higher pings it was very bad.
Was that the flaw that Mike Z found? Not so much the flaw, but I remember Mike Z was talking about, this is the developer of Skullgirls. He was talking about a tweak to GGPO implementation that he made. Is that the same thing?
It's similar, and I didn't know what was happening there when I was doing that, and I was very busy with daily job. and I was mostly doing this during my plane commutes.
Yeah.
Like,
oh wow, okay.
yeah, I was doing lots of commutes from Barcelona to London.
Yeah.
And then I just had to leave it because I was very frustrated. I could not understand why it was worse. I needed lots of time to debug, and so the development stopped until this lockdown. That lots of things happened. The tweet from Mike, the Fightcade 1 server just dying because too many people playing because of lockdown. Also, me having time because lockdown. Also, I had less work, so it was also like a snowball that started. Okay, we'll retake Fightcade 2. We are going to finally merge Fightcade 1 and Fightcade 2 because we thought, okay, if Fightcade 2 is not good enough, then at least we can merge them into the new server. And the people who want to play Fightcade 1 can, and those who prefer Fightcade 2, especially the Koreans that had a big community, and they can continue. But then things exploded really fast in a couple of months. It's a bit, maybe it's like a 5 minutes story if you want.
Yeah, go for it. Yeah, we can.
So, well, I was doing the new server to merge things and escalate, and it was working okay. It was lots of work, and then I thought, okay, I before doing that, I need to recompile Fightcade 2 and see why it's worse. And then I finally added some graphs, some tools like debug, like spent like perhaps a couple of weeks just into that code until I found what was broken, and I found out that it was very similar to Mike's finding. It's like the read balance was bad, and it's partly because of how GGPO handles that, and partly because how the emulator handled that. So basically, you have to the frame ahead. You have to balance things. So on one side, GGPO doesn't do it too much often, and it has a 3-frame gap or 3-4 frame gap, and also the emulator was told to sleep for those frames. But then, because how the emulator is coded, it then tries to recover those lost frames. So it's like the rebalance was not working at all in the old Fightcade. So I found that, okay, I'm going to redo the rebalance. And then I remember telling Pof and testing the first version, and we were like, wow, this is like working really, really good.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, so we were at that point, and then I had a couple of testers, and they were like, okay, it's good. But then the emulator had other issues, like frame rate issues, stuttering, frame skip. So I was like, well, maybe I can give it a try. Now I have time. And then again, the emulator was doing a frame rate based on the audio engine, which wasn't perfectly synced to the 60 FPS rate. So I thought, maybe I can rewrite that. And then a lot of small things like that, I kept improving, and it was getting really good. And this was like maybe a month of work, month and a half. And people were really getting the hype. We had a closed beta, and people would keep coming over, and they were like, okay, now that I've played Fightcade 2, I can't even go back to Fightcade 1.
Yeah.
It was totally like exploding compared to Fightcade 1 in Windows 10 and Windows 7. It's like perfectly fine frame rate, super good netcode. It was very good.
It's made a big difference to a lot of the players from Australia that play Alpha 3 and ST. We've definitely noticed that it's a lot better. Like before, there was a lot of back and forth about, is it better to play on 30th anniversary or on Fightcade 1 or Red GGPO? But now it's like unanimous. Everyone's on Fightcade 2, so it's definitely been a huge success in terms of the net play, I think.
Yeah, first it was the net play, then the frame rate, and then working with the third strike guys, where we try to make third striker really the best version, and we work with the community. We found a one frame lag that we had to reduce. Then it was all very, very, very good. It was like people hyped, and then I kept in my head the run ahead thing. And I was always thinking, I can't do that because it's too difficult, it's too expensive, and I don't know how to do that. And then one day it was, maybe I can try that. And it was just like a one night thing. And then I tried, and it was like, I think it works. And I sent off a video.
I remember that Zaggy, a French player of Super Turbo, he tested the version that we had, like the beta with 60 FPS running smooth and everything, and he was amazed, like, wow, this worked really well. I'm really happy. This beats the 30th anniversary, and it beats the old version that they were playing on Xbox 360 as well. He asked me, can you add run ahead to that? And I told him, you have to wait for another pandemic for this to happen. And then next night, Shine comes up with, hey, I tried and it works. And I was like, what the fuck?
The second wave.
I was like kind of like, because Zach is a very, very good player and I respect him, but I was doing that, and when I sent the version, but they said, it's very good, but it's still not as good as HDR on the Xbox.
I was going to say
of the input lag, and I thought, but it's very, very good, and I was kind of a bit frustrated, or like this energy of trying to make it better, like to please everyone, and I thought, okay, let's try the run ahead thing. And I did the first version. I was very wrong, I remember. I was doing some strange things, but then I did, okay, I'm gonna try to do it properly, and it was much easier to do, and then it worked, and then we sent him, and and then all the craze started, like, because run ahead is making a big difference. Especially online, working this good. But it's been tough to balance, and because now, for example, the new emulator is a bit more CPU expensive, as in performance. So many people that said, oh, but Fightcade 1 was running better and it was faster, and now Fightcade 2 is slower and had lag and blah blah. Because it has to do lots more things.
So is there more fixes that you've got planned for Fightcade 2, or are you pretty happy with the, like, in terms of the core gameplay, the net play, like the input lag, are you pretty happy with that at the moment?
I'm pretty happy. The only thing is, if I could optimize it a bit more, so more people could be able to run as good as we can, because at least for me it works pretty good, especially compared to Fightcade 1 and
it's amazing.
But in terms of emulator things, we are always working on some stuff, like quality of life features, streaming features. We are working with the guy that encodes videos and replays automatically.
Oh, nice. Yeah, that'd be really big. That was something I was going to ask about, actually, the replay saving, like, infrastructure. How does that work? Like, it seems like there's a huge number of replays stored, very quickly. Like, has that been a challenge to get all those saved?
This, well, I take that one, Shine, but so initially I wasn't saving the replays, but then I thought that so the replay data is really small, because it only contains the save state, the initial save state of the game, that when the two players start playing, that contains the memory and CPU state of the emulated machine, and then it's only the inputs of the two players.
Okay,
And
right,
this is very, very, very small.
Yeah.
So I thought that I could make the server spectate, like, and record that. And then
is that what the one spectator text in Fightcade is for? I always thought that's what it was, the replay recorder.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that was the server that was spectating the matches to record them. And then so each replay, like 1 hour of gameplay, can be like 40K on disk. So
okay, it's tiny.
Yeah, so having a lot of replays is not that heavy in terms of disk space. You just have a lot of files. And that's it. But yeah, right now I think we have like around 3 terabytes of replays.
Okay. You could do some crazy like machine learning on those to train some like Street Fighter bots or something.
Yeah, totally.
3 terabytes of input data.
Yes, definitely. There's lots of. Actually, we are having like 20,000 games per day, like completed games.
Whoa.
Which is like 600,000 per month.
How do you think about that? Like you said, you didn't expect it to blow up as much as it did. Like, yeah, I don't know, what does that mean to you to have it being so big as that?
So it tripled during the lockdown.
Yeah. Okay. Because everyone's at home.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, that was one of the reasons that we had to move to the new server, because the old one couldn't handle the database, was slow. The replace search was very slow. The number of connected people on the same service, when there was very, very like 1,700 people, it was starting to be slow. So that was the moment we thought, okay, we have to move to a new server because the old one is not going to handle the amount of.
Yeah, we had a lot of bottlenecks.
Yeah, I remember the chat used to lag. Like the chat would just lag by like 5 seconds sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In Fightcade 1, you had a basic detection system for Super Turbo that would warn people that a player could be using turbos. Has there been any discussion amongst yourselves about improving or bringing something like that to Fightcade 2?
This was a hack that I did by inspecting the inputs that the players were doing, and if the rate was too high, I just inject a message in the chat telling the player that. But
that caused a lot of arguments. There was many flame wars and stuff in the Fightcade chat from people pasting that message.
Yeah, and some people mashed very quickly, and sometimes were able to trigger the turbo detection just by mashing. And then some of them were afraid of mashing because of the turbo detection would came up. And
so you changed the meta of Super Turbo, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but I did this only for Fightcade 1. We didn't put this in Fightcade 2. I think in one of the initial betas, but not now, like the one we did in 2018. We tried to put that in there, but it was not working as good as with the old Fightcade, because the rate that we were receiving the inputs with the new emulator, which was FB Alpha at the time, not FB Neo yet, was much quicker, and it was not working good. And since then, I haven't touched that code anymore.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, basically there's tons of little work like that takes time, and we just prioritize the stuff. And things like that might be useful, maybe haven't missed that. Like there's one request that please bring the in-game chat to the my lobby log. It's been requested many times, but due to how we escalate and balance things, the game is running on different instances, so it's not as easy to do as before. So
yeah, so is that so the in-game chat doesn't go via? Does that just go like peer-to-peer with the normal gameplay now, rather than going directly to the server? Or
no, it goes to the server, but the server and the game server and the lobby server are in different instances.
Okay, right.
So we can, and we have like maybe 8 game server instances. So that's why the new one doesn't lag and it's working better. Even with,
cool.
We have peaked at 2,400 people at the same time, which is a lot. It doesn't lag. It works very nice thanks to that. But that introduces lots of development time for even small features because it's a complex software now. It's not like so anything, things like that people say, but it was very easy to do in Fightcade 1. Yeah, but in Fightcade 2,
not anymore.
Yeah, Fightcade 1 was like a one monolithic server only running. Everything was in there, so you had access to everything. Now it's everything is like small microservices, and if you want to send chat data from one of the games to the to the lobby service, you have to write an API to internally communicate that. So it's not only like reading the memory and writing somewhere, but it has like more steps in the middle.
And also in terms of UI, it's also something to consider, like maybe putting text in the middle lobby area, it's not that nice. Perhaps we need an external window. So it's more work.
Basically. I can say that.
It's on the to-do list when they will do that. Not a priority now.
So a couple of features that you mentioned that are added in Fightcade 2 that I was amazed at. The first one is the Super Turbo stage select. How did you do that? Like, is that a hack in the emulator itself that it knows that it's Super Turbo, or how does that work?
But yeah, again, it's one of those things that I was annoyed. Like, I was tired of not playing on Sagat stage because it's my favorite one with the challenges.
I know what you mean. I like that stage.
I knew about New Legacy, the ROM hack on Born to SPD. And I thought, maybe I can do stage selector. And then I thought, but I don't want people to have a special ROM for that. So I thought, well, maybe like in those Lua training things that they modified the memory, and I thought maybe I can detect the insert coin on the stage select, and if I detect over a character, then I can overwrite the memory. And it was very good. Also, the first time we did that, it was very high. Like, it worked. There were some bugs which I had to, because of the flow that Super Turbo works, it expects some values. I had to debug some more, but in the end it worked very well, and now it's a very nice feature. So much that yesterday when we were doing an offline session, I was thinking, I need the stage selector now.
Might start using Fightcade at tournaments now so they can get stage select.
I remember an anecdote when we were doing the run ahead, and they were testing that, and then they found that Third Strike, like the perfect way is to use run ahead 1, and then someone said, if you use run ahead 2 and then you go to an offline, then you get lag on the offline. It's like, this board has lag compared to the Fightcade 1. It's like, the offline lag. That's the joke.
I
want to. Luke mentioned before about Flame Wars, so I want to read out some Fightcade chat from the Alpha 3 room and see what you think. Young Rockman says, "Stop spamming challenge, LMAO." Hello Ken says, "I want to fight on street, please." Young Rockman says, "You on Wi-Fi with 1 bar? It won't be good. Just saying." Hello Ken says, "Try it." Young Rockman says, "I have tried too many times and I'm not going to do that no more." Hello Ken says, "Try it. You are really a young man made of rocks. Then you will accept my challenge." What do you think of this sort of chat? Are you trying to crack down on this kind of trolling?
Who takes that one?
You probably take that one, Paul.
So this is very mild language compared to what I have seen in some of the Fightcade lobbies. Sometimes there is harassment, racism, everything, everything that you can expect from the internet, you have it in there. And sometimes it can be very frustrating to see what people do, but it's a difficult thing to manage because you can ban them, but then they can create another account or use a VPN or a proxy or whatever to change their IP address. If you ban by IP, some of them are also using like dynamic IP addresses on modems, so they just reset the internet router or modem and they get a new IP. So IP address banning works sometimes, but doesn't work as good as people think. So it's a lost war. And then you have to spend a lot of time reading and moderating. And so in the end, in Fightcade 1, I just decided that I don't care about what happens in the chat. Just let people do the thing. But for Fightcade 2, we are trying to do some moderation efforts, like have some people try to give them the ability to mute people or ban people. But it's a difficult task to handle.
Yeah, I can imagine.
I imagine it is. Is there a process at the moment you're considering, like a warning system or something like that?
Shine, you want to take that?
Yeah, it's difficult because there will be always people that if they know there are moderators that they will push and find tricks to bypass that. It's a bit also frustrating because I have to spend lots of time with the moderator tools and making sure everything works. But it was a request for many people, especially from top Third-Strike players, because it was deterring people from joining the Third-Strike channel and playing because it was one of the worst channels.
Oh, no surprise there. They're pretty horrible.
No surprise.
Yeah. So far, it's working a bit better. There's still some people doing stuff around. I would say it's working a bit better, but people will always find ways of bypassing that. And if you don't want to, then you have to spend lots of time with moderating and doing tools, and it's a bit exhausting to have to spend time on those things instead of writing nice features.
Yeah, that's understandable. I noticed you have like a chat rules disclaimer in some rooms, but it's not in other rooms. Did you just put it in the rooms where there was problems, or did you?
Yeah, maybe those. No problems.
All right, so if that disclaimer is there, we know that's like one of the bad rooms, or whatever, the naughty rooms.
Yeah.
We call that.
Yeah, basically, because we can't also spend time moderating all channels.
Yeah, fair enough. Do you have any advice for players on how to deal with trolling and that kind of behavior?
Well,
just ignore.
Yeah, we always say
added to the ignore list.
Yeah, ignore. It's like, and I know some cases that they went to make this call and send me private messages, and they were like, ban this one, because I have trouble with these people. But then I go to the chat and I see them interacting with the troll.
Yeah.
And it's like, if you're not doing the effort of ignoring him, why I have to do the work for you? So the first thing is just to ignore, and things calm down a lot if you ignore those people.
Yeah, don't feed the troll.
Yeah,
the troll.
The thing is that people get triggered too easy with some stuff, and if they ignore the people, it's like they think they are losing the fight. So they try to win the fight by talking to the troll, which it's clearly a way to lose the fight.
Yeah.
Especially people are in a very salty state of mind after just playing Street Fighter as well. I think it definitely brings the worst out of people.
Yeah. And then there's people also. There's those people that just stay in the lobby without even playing.
Yeah, they're just away all the time. Yeah. Can we have some kind of rule that if you're away more than 90% of the time, you get banned or something? Like, what? It annoys me to no end that there's people who are just away like 24 hours a day in the Fightcade lobby.
This one has actually requested. It's on the to-do list somewhere.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep. You changed ROMs to the FB Neo for games like Alpha 3. What was the downside to the Fightcade 1 ROMs?
The ROMs are exactly the same, but one thing has changed. This is not something that we have changed or anything. Is that how the emulator scene has evolved in the years. So the ROM is exactly what is dumped from the CPS2 board or from the whatever game hardware was originally running. But before the emulator had the decryption key hard-coded in the emulator code, and later the emulators didn't want to have that hard-coded, so they prefer to decouple that, like to separate the emulator from the secret encryption keys. And for example, in CPS2 ROMs, there is a file inside the zip file that contains the key. So when the game is decrypted in memory of the emulator reads the key from the ROM. So the main change is that. So if you get your old ROM that you were using in Fightcade 1, add the key file inside the zip and put it in Fightcade 2, it will work. But people don't know that. So they re-download the ROM or try to spend a lot of time searching for ROMs or anything when they just have it in their disk, but they don't know that they have to put the key in there. And that's the only change that has happened in time. And then there are other cases like some the naming of ROMs changes, like for example, if for Super Turbo there was like the Japanese version was SF2
X something
XJ, and the J was the Japanese. So and this one was like the 940223, which was the date that the game was released. But then I think it was Brian Andam that found a board that ran a version that was 1 month newer. So he dumped that.
Like there was a new board was found of it.
Yeah, he in one of his boards he said that he had like for some time, but he never realized that the number when it was booting was different, and then he dumped that, and he provided the dump to the main developers, and what happened there was that the main version, like the SF2XJ, was the newer one, like the one with the newest one found, the one which was 1 month newer. And then the older one was renamed to the same name with R1, revision 1 added at the end.
Okay.
So that's why the community standard, like the tournament standard, the one that the whole community uses, is the revision 1, because no one has boards with the 1 month newer. So in Fightcade we use the revision 1. not the old one.
Wow. Is there major differences? Do you know what the difference is between those builds?
Yeah, I know that the different. We examine that the day it came to see what was the changes that it had. And it's a very, very small sprite change in an old dictator.
Okay, so it's not some game breaking.
No. It was just one of the sprites in old dictator in one of his punch. I think is broken, and this was the only change.
Yeah. Okay. So that out of that statistic that I saw on one of your tweets, I think that there's 1.2 million users. That is incredible. Like how many of them? Do you know how many of them are active, or like is there a lot of alts or bots or something, or do you reckon there's really 1.2 million? That seems huge.
Yeah, but not all of them are active. Like the last time I checked that how many active users we had, this was pre-coronavirus, pre-pandemic.
Yep.
So and we had like 50,000 active unique user per month.
That is massive. That is still very large. I would have thought it would be like maybe in the low thousands. I didn't know it was 50,000.
Yeah, it was 50,000 unique users with unique IP addresses and unique nicknames. That like if one people had like 3 accounts and was joining from the same IP address, I was just counting 1, not 3. You know?
Yeah, sure.
So this was like 50K.
Wow. So what's the other 1.2 million? Did you have problems with like bots and spam bots and stuff trying to log in?
No, it's just people that creates account and then don't use it anymore, or creates a lot of accounts. I don't know, or even people who is 1 month without playing, so I don't count them. That month.
Yep. Yeah. Wow, that's amazing. Is it? Maybe it's because we only see it during the kind of Australian daytime, but what's like the largest number of people that you've seen in one of the Fightcade rooms?
Would be around 400, 450.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. Is that Brazilians playing Third Strike or something?
No, it's King of Fighters.
Oh,
2.
Yep.
Lots of Brazilians, and then this year it was the JoJo explosion.
Oh yeah.
JoJo craze, which players are from all the world. Also 400.
Wow. Okay. What brought them all in? Did they not know about Fightcade until recently, or?
I think it was JoJo memes and the manga and probably the movie, all that, and they found about the game, which is a very good game, by the way.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I haven't played it after.
I started playing a bit. It's a nice one. So mostly young people playing that.
Yep. Yeah, there you go. Oh yeah, one thing I was going to ask before I forgot. Have you thought about adding a feature into Fightcade to allow directly downloading the ROMs, or is that a legality, like a legal issue that you can't do that?
So, of course, we have thought of it, and it would be really, really, really easy to do. But we don't want to cross the line, we prefer to just provide a service for matchmaking, and everyone obtains the ROMs the way they want. Like if they want to buy the original board in eBay or something, and then dump the ROM themselves, they are free to do that. Yeah, of course.
That's what all Australian Alpha 3 players are doing. But yeah, so have you been in contact with Capcom at all, or like
No, never.
Yeah, okay. Do they know about it? They must know that Fightcade exists.
I don't know. The only person who I know that works in Capcom is the Japanese player Shogatsu.
Oh, yep. Does he work for Capcom now?
Yeah, he works for Capcom, and I met him in person in XSB in a tournament in France, and he knew about Fightcade because someone told him, oh, he's Pof, the developer of Fightcade. But yeah, he just told me that he doesn't play online, and I tell him, oh yeah, I understand. In Japan, you have people to play.
The arcade. Yeah. Okay. I don't know. Maybe they're just unaware of it at the moment. It's pretty interesting. I guess we'll get into some of these. We've got some questions from some of our listeners, other Fightcade fans, I guess. This is a question from Shane Bardo, asking, can we have back replay controls like in GGPO? Before you had replay controls enabling fast forward, rewind, and pause.
Shine, you take that one?
Yeah, I take that one. Well, it's a difficult topic because we can, but it's a lot of work because I have to redo lots of things. My main focus was doing better netcode, better frame rate, better audio sync. It's like I've been trying to really push the emulator to be as good as possible, as close as offline as possible.
Yeah, sure.
And the replay thing, it's very, very, very requested. I probably this thing certainly will need another lockdown because it's it's a lot of work.
Yeah, sure.
And has a technical limitations because how the replays are encoded, they depend on the initial save state. So to go forward or backwards, then you have to do the emulation even as fast as possible, but you have to wait for that. It's not instantly. Yeah,
and backwards, I can imagine, is almost
it's like
impossible, right?
Yeah, kind of like video codecs that you need. I need to store key frames with all the same data, but it's a lot of work.
Yeah,
but we will have the video replay. We have the video replacement codec that might work for them.
Yep. Okay, cool. Another question from someone called Smoke. They say the most important question is if you guys are planning to add custom challenge sound support.
They can replace the sounds in the Fightcade code. Yeah, they are just MP3.
But Shine, this is just for Fightcade 1. For Fightcade 2, you get them from the backend.
Are you sure? I thought they can replace locally.
No.
Well, maybe. I thought they could. Yeah, sorry, my bad.
Oh, that's all right. Okay, Smoke, you may be able to do it already, maybe in Fightcade 1. But I think the Alpha 2 challenge sound is kind of iconic for Fightcade. I think that should definitely be the default.
The default. Yeah, I also like that one. Yeah, perhaps we can bring it back.
retro Fightcade. Okay, another very commonly asked question and something that we discuss a lot is the Naomi support. So it's kind of slowly coming. I think a lot of people are really excited to play CVS 2 and Marvel and some of the other games on that. What's the status of that? Some people are saying when will it actually be playable? Some people are saying they get frame rate drops. I don't think it has rollback netcode yet. Is that right? But yeah, what's the status of that?
So it doesn't have rollback. It's frame over input delay, which is a delay-based netcode, but a little bit better than the traditional delay-based netcode. Yep. But the current status is that we implemented we take the work from Blueminder, from the FGC Arcadia Discord. They did all the initial work to glue together everything so that the mapping buttons and playing online was possible with null DC. And we talked with Blueminder. We told him, can we put that into Fightcade? He was okay with that. We asked him if he could provide like command line switches that were useful for us to integrate,
Yep.
and he did that for us.
Mhm.
So we just put the technology that we did in Fightcade, that was the one that allows you to establish a peer-to-peer connection without having to forward ports on your router.
Yeah.
So we added that on top of the null DC network connection, and we had a lot of problems in the initial implementation because of how the way it handles the network part, because it's a TCP connection, not like UDP, like the one that we use in FB Neo or in in the other TCP/based emulators. And then meanwhile the version of null DC Bear came out, and it replaces the QKO JAMA thing that was running on the first version that we integrated. So now we are trying to integrate this new version. We have done some tests, some successful tests, but we haven't still finished that yet. And we'll probably end up switching to that at some point when it's stable and it works for people. The main challenge now is that for it to work properly, you need to control the smoothing value, the number of frame delay that you add. So if between you and me there is a very good connection, we can have a 1 delay, but if it's very bad, we need to increase that to 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, depending on how long we are or how delay we have. So people don't know how to do this and don't understand this, most people. So they just see frame rate issues, that these issues would be solved if they increase the smoothing. But we try to, with the automatic mode, we try to detect that and provide the best number, but sometimes you don't know exactly the jitter because they are using Wi-Fi, or the exact latency that they have between them. It can vary, and the detection is not perfect. So the main challenge we have is fine-tuning that so that it works for everyone.
Yeah. Okay. Wow, that's interesting. And I think there's a huge like user base of people that will play CVS2 and those other NAMI games once available. So that's going to be massive when that's finished. I got one more question from a user. This is from an Australian player called Salty. He's asking about how you guys got Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3 arcade working, and he thought it was impossible to do to emulate that game or something. I don't know much about it, but do you have any insight into Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3?
Oh, no, not at all. Like, we just updated to the latest FB Neo, and we haven't done anything else that they haven't.
Yeah, right.
Because there are so many games, we can.
Yeah. How many games are there? There must be thousands.
There are like 7,000.
Yeah. Okay.
Games supported. Like the list can be even bigger, but we try to keep like all the bootlegs and clones and everything small. So we just add the ones that are most requested, but not all of them.
Yeah, sure.
There's some the thing that I usually do is that many of those games have player bindings broken from the Vimeo due to some stuff. So usually it's the only thing that I can spend time with fixing the bindings, so they at least work online. But it's the only thing that I usually do with the emulator regarding games.
Yeah, sure.
Because otherwise it's too much time.
Yeah, that makes sense. You
So
guys,
we had a question from Red GGPO representative Mug. Will SNES ever get functional rollback?
It's for me, Pof.
Yes.
So the guy that did the SNES, the Super Nintendo GGPO implementation, he did it out. It was Cesar, the other developer. He did like 2 years ago when we were doing the old beta. And I think basically it has the same problem. So it's like if you have the chance to be on the same frame ahead, then you will have nice games, especially on low pings. But on higher pings, it's more possible that you get worse connections. So it's a matter of getting to the source code and apply the same optimizations I did for Fightcade to SNES 9X.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, there's other issues preventing that at the moment.
Yeah, sure.
Eventually, yes. I mean, we will get there one day, hopefully, because I also want to play Mario Kart.
Yeah.
I can't wait for the 4-player Mario Kart. That'd be awesome.
Wow.
On the topic of Red GGPO, is it fair to say that they're your competition?
Pop one of you and me.
Well, I was very happy that they appeared out of nowhere someday. I downloaded the first version that they released, and we tried them. And it was probably one of the things that made us start working on Fightcade 2 again.
Yeah,
because we thought, it's nice, it has nice features, but we probably can do some things better than that. And yeah, so I haven't tried it since then. Just tried it one time, and it was one of the things that made us work in Fightcade 2.
Yeah,
so it's good that they were there.
Yep. They were certainly gaining some traction, and then Fightcade 2 came out, and now you guys are ahead of them at the moment.
Yeah, you're number one again now for sure.
Yeah, for now you are. Yeah.
Yes, it was like a bunch of things, like the testing Red GPO, lockdown, the tweet from Mike, the Fightcade 1 server dying, us having more time. It was like a
it's combination of things.
Yes, definitely.
I want to ask about the Patreon. So I've seen with Fightcade 2 you've set up the Patreon account. What's your motivation for that, and like what are some of the benefits that people can get from signing up to your Patreon?
Well, basically we spent a lot of time. Initially it was to cover server expenses, because Fightcade was always and will always be free, and server was expensive because of the always protection and all the amount of replays and services. But then when we tried to merge, it was like a huge rework. Probably the emulator part is the smallest part of it. Like there's a ton of work behind to make it a matchmaking platform, a good one. So we thought, maybe if we can get a Patreon, then we can spend more time on that. Because for like 4 or 5 months, it's been, for me at least, the main work I do daily.
Okay.
All day, 24/7, making sure the server works. If it crashes, we're putting it back on. Yeah,
so, it's a huge job. It's like, I'm sure there's many companies that are, have like 10 engineers employed or something that are doing less than you guys on Fightcade.
Yeah, definitely. It's a really big software. It's like has tons of hidden and backend features that nobody cares and nobody understands.
Yeah.
But what makes it easy to run now, easy to escalate, to balance and to work well.
Yeah.
So Patreon helps with that, and it's like we would like to try and make a really good matchmaking platform, not only for FPNeo, but to introduce more games and more features.
Yeah. Cool.
Patreon is intended for that.
Yeah, our idea with Fightcade is that we can start integrating more and more emulators or other games on top of the same platform. So it would be like a hub for people to matchmake. Like if you take a game that is really good, but nobody's playing it because they cannot find people online to play. And if you put that game into Fightcade, you will always have people in the platform to play it. So
I mean, CVS2 is the classic with that, I think.
Yeah.
There were some ideas like Multi-Blood or Rising Thunder. Games like that I think the issue with many of those games on release is that when you want to play someone, you have to open the game, enter the lobby, have the game open, and then wait for someone to join, and then maybe you spend 5 minutes and there's nobody here, then I go out. And nobody, and it's like a circle. If you do that, then there's nobody. There's never anybody in those lobbies. While in Fightcade, it's like kind of a Discord where you just join and you be in the room, and then eventually maybe you're working or you're chatting with someone else, and then someone pings you and you want to have a game, and it's easy then to just challenge and launch a game. And that keeps the community, even if it's small, then you know people and you can create a user base. We want to push that because it's a really good way to maintain all games.
I think that's massive. I think that's the best thing about Fightcade is the UI. Like, it's so much better than even like a Street Fighter 4 or Street Fighter 5 lobby system. That it's just like, you know, as you say, the actually trying to matchmake against one individual person or something can be a nightmare. So I think, you're ahead of even all the like AAA game publishers with the UI for sure.
Yeah, the downsides are like the ranking, the thing that you can play ranked games with people that you can choose, then it generates flaws and cheating. But overall, the idea of this lobby where you can chat, you can spectate any game live, you have replays of all the games, you can know even browse best replays of the month, best replays ever of any game. It's like, okay, I'm new to this game, I know what I need to know who is good, and you go to the replays page and you find the rankings and people, and you can choose, I want to see the replays of this guy, and then you see them in the lobby and you spectate live. I think it's going to be good to keep the user base of all the games.
You've made a feedback channel for ranked play. What common feedback have you received, and what tweaks are you considering making?
First, there's lots of feedback. My one that the points, the elo, it uses an elo matchmaking point system like in chess. So initially it was because the functions and the K value was too high. So people were afraid, the high ranked people were afraid to play low ranked people because they would lose points. That was the main feedback. Then mostly nowadays it's cheating because people can matchmake for a ranked game anyone, and they abuse the system in one way or another. It's similar to the moderation. Any fix we do, there will be people finding a way to abuse the system. Like there's some people saying that they just add an idle player, so they win 10-0 and they win lots of points. And someone suggested, but you can detect if the other guy is not doing anything, then you can score that. We can do that, but then they will find out and they will just play dumb, and then what?
Yeah.
I spend lots of time doing that, and they will still do the same.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a mouse and cat. It's like you fix something and they find ways. It's you have to deal with that. The ranking system is just we're making to help newcomers find players of their level easily. So it's not like very precise. It won't tell you who is the best, but it's an approximation. It's pretty good at that. So if someone cheats, then we can't do much.
Yeah, fair enough. A lot of people play the Anniversary Collection purely because of the training modes. Do you have any plans or any discussion amongst yourselves about bringing a training mode to Fightcade?
Yes, there's plans.
Oh, wow. Okay.
There's plans.
Wow, that would be a game changer. That's amazing.
Yeah, there's two branches. I'm considering one is bringing the old FBA our Lua script system, which will make things nice. The other is doing the training mode myself. Like I did the stage selector in Super Turbo, do a training mode in the emulator itself. Kind of, I suppose, does the 30th anniversary.
I just had one last question. Before the podcast, you said to me you met James Chen at the Fightcade Festival. What was that like?
Oh, it was amazing. It was amazing.
Yeah, it was awesome to have James Chen in there. He knows everything about fighting games. He has a lot of stories to tell, and I remember he was in the same hotel as me, and the venue was like 10-15 minutes away from the hotel, and I ride him in my car every day, and the conversation in the car when we were going there and going back with him was awesome every day. Like he knows all about fighting games. He has a lot of stories, and I was really excited to have him, and the commentary that he does, the analysis that he does of players with a very, very small footage he has seen of someone. He knows a lot about his style. He has a huge background of fighting games. He is awesome.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Pof and Shine, for coming on to the podcast and answering the tough questions.
All right, thank you very much for...
It was a pleasure.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for tuning in to the Alpha List podcast. We'll be back in 2 weeks with a brand new episode. We'll see you then.